Hello and welcome to turn 6 of the Operation Meridian 1 scenario, wing leaders, wing leader Eagles 43 to 45 by Lee Birmingham Wood and GMT. Alright, we have a slight difference this turn in that we actually get to do something in the setup phase. So we actually have a squadron and a flight of Ki-45 Toryu Nick fighters, and interestingly enough they actually come on along here from the map edge inwards and up to altitude 6, so we get to place them. They're of course intercepting, so we get an intercept marker as well, a vector marker as well, to put on. So yeah, I would have expected them to come on the Japanese side, but they don't. They're actually over here and following in with the bombing raid. So anyway, I'll just set them up and then we'll carry on. Okay, so that setup's complete. We actually had, with the squadron, the ability to set up from this row backwards at altitude 6, and for the formation, this row backwards at altitude 8. So I thought quite reasonable thing to do was to actually throw them into the battle as much as possible. So the squadron is just tailing the bomber squadrons here, and the Ki-45 flight is up on altitude 8, just above it. So we've got a lot of Japanese fighters now that have got behind the formation, which may turn out to be interesting. And of course, all the escorts and sweep are quite low now, with the exception of this Corsair squadron up here. So all the advantages with the Japanese here, where they have the higher altitude units, flights and squadrons. So yeah, well, there we are. They've kind of just popped into existence, and I was wondering if I'd sort of made a mess of the squadron's movement, but no, they are where they should be for turn 6. So okay, so that's set up. So we now need to get on to tally. However, before I do that, I'm going to fix something I made an error on. So last turn I did the strafing with the Firefly here, and I read the rule wrong. Actually, again, somebody kindly pointed it out to me. I did read the rule, but I kind of didn't read it right. So the rule is that when you're strafing, on the turn you strafe, you cannot descend by more than one level of altitude. And I seem to have read it as you can't descend by more than one level of altitude at the point of strafing, if you see what I mean. So what I thought is that you can't come straight down, but what it is, you can't descend. So I have to wind this back, and it's okay because it's kind of isolated to the rest of the battle here. So if we look at where the Firefly was, we'll remove those hits and we'll provide the heavy flak with a bit of a reprieve. If we wind the Firefly back to where it was, which was here, and what I did was drop straight down and then across, and there was the flak barrage here. What I will do is I will drop half 1, 1.5, 2, and then I'll stop here, so that then I can strafe this turn. This does mean that barrage, well, the heavy flak is available again, and I will remove that barrage because we can get this heavy flak unit to engage the Firefly anyway this turn. So that's kind of repaired that, so apologies on that, but as I say, there's lots of these little rules that maybe I'm just missing things. Well, I do seem to be missing a few things here, but anyway, with some people's help, it's some watchers' help, getting to pick these things. They're picking these things up. It's I don't know, filling out the video, I suppose. So thanks for that anyway to the person who pointed that out. Right, we're back now with the tallying. So it's Raiders first. We can ignore the bombers, they don't tally. So what we have down here, we have the Hellcat, the Corsair, and the other Hellcat here. So this Hellcat is currently tallying this KI-43, this Hayabusa here. This Hellcat and this Corsair are both tallying that KI-43 squadron. However, nobody's, I don't think anybody, D here, somebody has tallied D. That would be N. And, oh, that was actually our Firefly all the way down here, which is a bit pointless. So somebody really needs to grab hold of D. And we've got E, F here, who have both just appeared on the scene. H here is tallied by this Corsair. And at that point we kind of run out. So, okay, so what I think we should do is one of these Hellcats, the Hellcat or the Corsair should break with that and should either pursue here or turn around here, I think. And yeah, so I think I'll do that. So that Hellcat will try and tally him. So that's 1, 2. It's two spaces, but it is behind. So that's an extra space, if you like, an extra +1 on the dice. So yeah, we'll have to add that on the dice. Now, is there any other? Nobody else has targeted that, so yeah, there's nothing else there. And B is, I think, is B the veteran here. I've got to say, oh, it is. Yeah, the B. It's up here because it's so crowded. So that's a veteran. So it's a -1. So actually, the target behind is a 2, -2. So it's 2 spaces, -2 on the dice, +1 on the dice for a veteran. So it's just -1 on the dice. So we need a 4, 5, or 6. And we do. So the B tally, which would have dropped, now appears onto E. Right. We will maintain, this Hellcat will maintain the lock on the tally onto that Hayabusa. The Corsair continues with that. The Corsair will continue with this KI-44, or should he? Should we try and clock this KI-44 up here, this Tojo squadron? Yeah, if we can engage it up here, we can keep it away from the bomber. So yes, we'll drop the tally for H, and we will try and find O, which is on a, just on anything but a 1, really. It's not quite in the sun, so no, we're fine. And that's a 5, so yeah. So I tallies O. Good. And have we got anybody left here? I don't think so. Everybody's tallied everybody. Nobody's picking up D though, which is a shame. But we just don't have any more escorts here. Yeah, I think that's it. It's only a formation anyway, so that's something. We've got that squadron clocked. We've got that squadron clocked, and we've got that squadron clocked. So we've got the squadrons sorted. It's just the flights. We can maintain the tally here, even though it's quite far away, because it's not more than 10 away. So even though it's coming into strafe, but we'll probably lose it next turn. So that's the British tallies. So here on the Japanese side, this Ki-43A is tallying this bomber. Quite happy with that. The Ki-43 flight here, C, which is here. Oh no, that's R is telling. Oh, I don't know why that. Yeah, sorry. So C has tallied this bomber. I think we'll continue with that. D here hasn't tallied anybody, so I think it will tally probably this bomber here. So S. So that's on A1. That's great. So D tallies S. Okay. Then we're across to E here. E has we got tally markers for E. E and F. They've got vectors here, of course. So that's where I was looking for their tally markers. Right. So E here, we'll try and find. Well, S is being picked up by D, so maybe E should try for T. So that's 1, 2, 3 away. Part of a formation. Actually, yeah, the other bombers were part of formation. That gives you a +2, so the other ones would be pretty much automatic. So on here, we've got 1, 2, 3, but +2 on the dice, so anything but a 1 really. 4, great. So E has tallied T. So we have a tally on, is it all of the? S, R, T, and Q. Yeah. So we tallied all of the bombers with A unit. So H has tallied this Corsair up here, which I think is not that useful really. We will try and tally S, I think, which again should be automatic, except I think we'll roll a 3, that's fine. So H drops that tally and puts it on S. F here, he's got a vector to here. Right. Should we try and tally? I'm just wondering if we should tally one of the fighters actually, just to help out. Possibly this Hellcat here. A. So 1, 2. It's not part of the bombing formation, so it's 3 or more. It's a 3. So that's great. So F tallies A. Where's A gone? A's way over here. He's off the camera even. Just off there. Okay. R here is circling and it's got a vector here. See if we can maybe spot the Corsair and then maybe O can then descend. Then if it's going to roll at least to find something. So R will try and tally I, and again that's somebody hasn't tallied it yet, so we've got a 4, that's fine. So R tallies I, and finally O here, we really want to get to a bomber, so I think we should go, who's looking at T? E's looking at T, so that's fine. S has 2 on, R is just C. So yeah, if we try for R here, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 2, however, for the formation, and also somebody else has tallied it, which gives you another plus 3 on the dice. So a 5 plus 3, 8. Yeah. So O finally spots a formation, an aircraft formation, and that was R, wasn't it? Yes. So O and C now tally. Good. Okay. So, yeah, all the Japanese fighters are now busy. Quite a lot of them on the bombers, which is good to see. So that's, I think, the tally phase. Is there anything else we need to do? I don't believe so. So we're on to the movement phase. So squadrons move, and of course it's there are no escorts, so the bombers move first. So let's do that. Let's move the wing displays out of the way. So Q moves first, 2 I think here, and of course with Q, A follows because it's tallied Q, so A moves as well. We move T across. T is tallied by E, so here 1, 2, 3. It's trying to catch up. Maybe I should tally something a bit closer then. Oh well, never mind. Then we have R. R moves, and R is tallied by O and C. C is here, who will move into there. We will get rid of the dive. But C is tallied. Hang on, that can't be right. C broke. So C broke, in which case that is a return to base. So there is no tally there. I hadn't seen that. We'll put return to base on C. So C, in fact, take that tally off. That's not going to be relevant anymore. And C will dip into cloud. I think dip below the cloud. 1, 2, 3, 4 with the dive. And the Hellcat here will follow. Okay. Right. So that was R moved. So we actually have O gets to move. So drops half, 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the dive there. O has been clocked by I. So I will drop. But R has tallied it, so I'm not sure it can move through. So 1, 2, 3. Where that circle will go. Let me just check that whether it can move through somebody who's tallied it. Now that seems to be all right. It's only if that R had been tallied by I, but it's the other way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I comes in with a dive after O. And of course I had been tallied by R, so R will follow. And we'll go, it's not completely turning around, so that's 1, 2, 3. Also with a dive. Okay, and O had been tallied by I, tallied by R. R hasn't been tallied by anybody, so that ends that chain. So we're left back with the bombers with S, who moves 2 forward, and S has been tallied by D and H. So H here, well, D will flip around for 1 and 2. E isn't in the fight actually, and F, was it? No, H. Okay, so we do have a dive 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that's fine. So D and H, and D and H. H has not been tallied, and D has not been tallied, so that's fine. So I think we've actually moved everybody. B and H. B and H. Who did they tally? B and H. B had tallied E. So I'd forgotten that. So B tallied E. So it would be in here. That's interesting enough, that's kind of like a different fight. Okay. And H, where are you? Looking for H, who they tally? It's a little, A, so tallying A. Oh right, so H is going to go 1, 2, 3, but not quite catch up with A. Right. Because they had already moved and I missed out using those. It's only F to move now, and F had tallied somebody A. So A is way down here. So 1, 2, 3, and because it's diving 4, that was probably the wrong thing to tally here. It's taken him out of the fight for the bombers. Okay, and I've done it slightly out of sequence, but this is where the Firefly should come in to strafe now, this turn. So let's do that. Okay, before we do that, of course the heavy flak gets an attack onto the Firefly. So that's a flak combat. I'm not sure we've quite done that before, but a different table again. Here it is. So 2 dice rolls, and you have a flak firepower value, which is used if there is a hit. But we need high on 2 dice. The flak unit's strength is a modifier, and for each other flak unit it's a positive as well. If you're doing direct fire, which is what we're doing, we're not doing a barrage, so altitude is as well, and any weather modifiers, things like that. So targets performed bomb aiming this turn. Let me just check that applies to strafing. But anyway, at the moment, the flak unit strength, it's H0 2, so that's 2 targets. They can't fire twice on the same target, but 2 different targets. It's a 0, so flak strength 0. There is no other flak unit helping because they're providing the barrage here above the balloon. We have a target altitude of 6 or less, which is a +1. And checking about the bomb aiming. Yeah, so they are aiming, so that should be another +1. So it's +2 on the dice. That would be the altitude 6 or less and the aiming of the aircraft. So roll 2 dice and add 2. We get a 4. 4 goes to a 6 and a 6, as you can see here for flak. We need a 9 to do anything, so there's no effect. Now we can do the strafing properly, and so our bombing table, we did that last turn incorrectly, but we'll do it again, of course. So we're looking on that table, and the bombing strength is 4, so it's actually I think I saw something about that. Yeah, so last time when I did it, I was actually referring to the version 2.0 rules, which I got with Supremacy and not with Eagles. Eagles comes with the version 2.2 rules, and instead of it being 1 plus firepower, it is just firepower. So instead of being 4 as a bombing value, it's actually only a 3 on the strafing, because that's the firepower of the Firefly. So yeah, opportunity to wind that back, which is good. Okay, so altitude modifier is always a negative, but we're at 0, so that's no problem. And the defense modifier is 0, the red number here, as we saw before. We are strafing. Strafing gives us a +3 on the dice, and it has been attacked by flak this turn. There was no bombing modifier inflicted by that flak attack. It was a complete miss. And the squadron is just standard quality. So +3 for the dive bombing. Sorry, it's for the strafing, and that's it really. So +3 on the dice, 2 dice to roll. I thought that's very low. So +3 on the roll is 4, +3 is 7. So the 7, it's only 10% of hits. Right, so 10% of 3 is not a lot. Just wondering if that actually rounds up or not. Yes, in this game it's nearest whole number with halves rounding up. So we have a bombing value of 3, it's 10%, so that's 0.3, which rounds down to 0. So no hits at all from that strafing. Okay, so that's our movement, and we're on to our combat phase. And the combats will be, let's place our battle display markers. So we have a battle here, I believe, Able. We have a battle here on R. Yeah, we have a big battle here, Baker. We don't have a battle for T because E couldn't get there. A is having a battle with Q, so that's Charlie. So that's 3. We actually have a 4th, which is down here. So we'll have a sort of second go with the combats because we have 4 to do. So anyway, with these 3, I'll move them to the battle display and we'll work out what happens in each of those fights. Okay, alright, that took a while. So in Able we have actually 2 combats. So here we have the Avenger being attacked by 2 flights, KO-44 and a 43. Let's zoom in so you can just see that. Right, I can actually move the camera closer, so let's do that. Calculated what the differentials and the modifiers are. So we're using the KO44 up here because it is a veteran with an expert here, even though he is ammo depleted. So we've got 7 versus 2. That'll be a +4, -4, and there's a +1 on the Japanese side for the expert, of course. So if we roll those dice, I don't want to disturb that setup here, so I will roll it off camera. But the +4 +1 gives us a 5, goes to a 6. A 6 is 1 loss. And the return fight, which is on the -4 with no modifier, we have an 8, which is nothing. So 1 loss on the TBFs, the Avengers. So the Avenger is a 4 to 5 protection, and the KO44 is a +1 firepower. Yeah, a 1 firepower. But it does have an export, so it's +2 on the dice. You get a 2, which is +2, goes to a 4, and that means a straggler. So this is on S, and let's zoom out. This is on S here, which has a loss already, but now has a straggler as well. Okay, cohesion checks. Yeah, I'm wondering if I might do all the combats and then do all the cohesion checks, just so it's easier to do. Yeah, no, let's do the cohesion checks as we go. So for okay, so for the bombing side, 1 loss, and that's all. Not attacking side, so it's just a, yeah, so it's a -1 on the dice, 2 dice. A 4 goes to a 3. That is a disrupt. There's a disrupt on S, so that's good work, because that's going to affect the bombing capabilities. And on the KI-44, the cohesion check. So on H, here we have ammo depleted 2, but it is veteran, so it's -2 +1, so a -1 on the dice, and that's a 7 going to a 6, which is a disrupt. Okay. Yeah. So we have to do D, who was in support, and D has a low ammo marker, so that's -1. No losses, so it was an attacking side of the combat. I forgot to do that with the KI-44, I think there, didn't I? So it was, yeah, so it was depleted, -2, veteran +1, attacking side +1, so it was a 0 actually. So actually that's, no, it's not disrupted, so I had that wrong. So yes, sorry, back to D here. So D is no loss. It was an attacking side, so it's a +1, low ammo -1, so a straight roll. Rolled a 7, which is fine. So they're both okay for disruption. Okay, this combat here. So B onto E, so the Hellcat against the KI-45s who had just arrived. So it's, excuse the colour of the marker because I ran out of 7s in the purples. So it's 7 versus 4, so that's +3, -3. There are no modifiers, so it's straight rolls. So for the Hellcat on +3, 5 is 1 loss, and the KI-45 back, it's a -3 table. This is 8, which is just a miss. So 1 loss on the KI-45. Note these are green, and that was factored in here. So on the losses, the KI-45 Toryu has a protection of 4 to 5, but the Hellcat is a 2, so it's +2, and the Hellcat is a veteran. So no, that doesn't matter. It's an expert. So +2 on the dice against 4, 5. So it's 5, 6, 7. So there is a loss on the Toryu E here. Cohesion checks. So we have B with a veteran status. It was attacking, but it has ammo low. So it's +1, +2, -1. So it's +1 on the dice. Oh, wow. It's only a 3. A 3 goes to a 4. A 4 is disrupted, and it was almost broken. So, wow. Okay, so disrupted marker here. Sorry, they're just off camera here. And on the E, that is a loss marker of 1, and it is green, so that's -2 on the dice. Oh, and that's also a 3, so that immediately breaks. Yep. So, yeah, tricky that the veteran Hellcat has now disrupted, but it did break the Toryu squadron before it got to do anything, which is very good. Okay, combat Baker here. So we have a chain here. The Avenger, then is the Shoki here attacking, and then the Corsair attacking, and then there's the KR-43 Hayabusa flight on the tail of the Corsairs. So we use the Corsair as, it's a defender because there's a bomber, so the Corsair is defending, KI-44 is attacking the Shoki. So that came out as 8 versus 7, so it's +1 -1 with no modifiers. So for the Japanese on the +1, we have a 9 goes to a 10, so that's 2 losses, and we have to spread them evenly, but we get to place where we'd like to put them. But as there's only 2 defending squadrons, it will be a loss on the Corsair and also on the Avenger. So Avenger R has a loss, and also the Corsair, which is I, has a loss, and they're here at the moment. It's the 2 Americans here. And the -1 table for the Corsair to shoot back, we have a 5, which is nothing. Okay, so the cohesion checks, so we'll go back from the bomber. So the bomber itself has a loss marker and is green, wasn't on the attacking side, so it's a -2 on the dice. Oh, another 4, 3, 2, so that's disrupt on the bomber, not going well. Then the KI-44 O, which so I'm just adjusting ammo markers on previous units. So which will now have an ammo marker when I find one. So no losses, wasn't on the attacking side, so it's just a +1. Rolls a 10, so quite happy. Must remember that that ammo marker. I just want to get through all the dice rolls here as quickly as possible on camera. So then we have I here, so that's 1 loss. So it's a -1 on the dice. It's a 6 going to a 5, which is a disrupt. really not going well. And finally the KI-43 on the end. So that's already had one loss, is ammo low, and I think that's it. Oh, and it's disrupted. Okay, so well, the disrupted doesn't actually matter, but if it's disrupted again, it will be broken. But was on the attacking side. So yeah, so -1 for the loss, -1 for the ammo, so -2, +1 for the attacking side. So that's -1. Oh, another 4. -1 is a 3, so that definitely breaks. Okay. Right. On a roll here. If you're still bearing with me here. 2 combats to go. So here we have the KI-43 on the tail of the Avenger here. 5-3, +2, -2. The Avenger is a veteran, but already has a straggler. And the Hayabusa KI-43 is already ammo depleted here. But it's +2, -2. There's no modifiers. So the +2 for the Japanese, that's a 6. A 6 is 1 loss, and the -2, it's a 5, which is no loss. So we roll the loss for, oh, hang on, we did the 2 losses on the Corsair and the Avenger, but I don't think I rolled to see if they actually were losses. Okay, let me roll back. I'll roll back to that just after I finish this. So much going on, you just miss a step, don't you? Okay, so the Avenger gets a loss, so let's roll that. It's +1 for the KI-43. It's a 1, so it isn't a loss. Cohesion check for the Avenger. It's only had a straggler, so it's a veteran, so it's +1. That's 7, 8, 9. So that's fine. That's 8, yeah, 8 goes to 9. And the KI-43, -2 for the ammo. But it was attacking, so it's -1. That's a 9 going to an 8, which is nothing. Okay, winding back to here with our Avenger and the Corsair. So the Avenger, was it really a loss? Yeah, I'll just move across to see these. It's the Avenger and the Corsair here. The Avenger here. So the Avenger is a 4-5, and it's a +1 for, yeah, just a +1 for the firepower of the Shoki. That's a 5 going to a 6, which is a loss, so that's fine, we're okay. On the Corsair, Corsair is also a 4-5, so +1 on the dice. 4 going to 5, so that's actually only a straggler. Yes, the roll, it was a very low roll here, so I think the disruption still happens. So yeah, we're okay. We've sorted that out. And finally, we've got our combat here. So it's a broken Shoki flight, followed by this Hellcat here, Hellcat squadron here. So it's 7-5. The KI-43 actually has a +1 because it has an expert. So it's +2, no modifier, -2, +1. So on the Hellcat side, a +2 with no modifier. We get a 9, and a 9 is 2 losses. The shot back from the KI-43 is -2 +1. That's a 9 going to an 8. An 8 is actually a loss. So 2 losses on the KI-43, which has lost 2 already and has a straggler. So The Ki-43 Hayabusa has a 3 to 4 protection, and the Hellcat has a firepower of 2. Yeah, so it's +2. Roll both dice, they're both 2s. +2 is 4. 4 gives us 2 stragglers, which is effectively a loss. So we're down to just the straggler left here. And the loss on the Hellcat, the Hellcat is a 4 to 5 protection, and it's +1 for the firepower, +1 for the expert on the Ki-43, so it's +2. It's a 6, so 6 + 2 is 8, so that's actually a loss on the Hellcat. Cohesion checks. We're already broken here, so there's no need to roll here. For the Hellcat though, taking a loss on ammo low, it's going to be now depleted. It was on ammo low with a loss, but it was attacking, so it's -2 +1 for attacking side, so it's -1 on the dice. We've got a 7 going to a 6. 6 is a disrupt. So here we go. A disrupt marker for. Right. So yeah, I think that's probably come out better for the Japanese in total. Yeah, very much so. I think they've done quite well this turn. Okay, so we'll be moving everything back off the battle displays, and then the admin segment to involve maybe moving the barrage markers or something like that. Yeah, I'll just sort that out now. Right, back as we were. Gosh, that was a bit wild and woolly. So we practically got the entire population of the board in 4 squares all around the bombers. We just have down here another 3 elements. So yeah, good turn for the Japanese, I think. The escorts have been unable to keep the Japanese away from the bombers. They've suffered some losses and some disruptions. So yeah, all good. Also, when we wound back our strafing here, it had absolutely no effect. So the administrative phase, there's no GCI control to worry about. Everybody tallied everybody else on the Japanese side. We'll keep the flak barrage here, I think, because I think it's the best place to be. And yeah, that's all really. So and no escapes, of course, yet, because everything's all concentrated in the middle here. The rolls wouldn't work. Okay, so that's turn 6, and then we'll be on to turn 7 in the next video. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Sorry it's a bit convoluted and actually a little bit messy because there's so much happening in these 4 squares. But anyway, hope you'll be able to keep track of it. And let's see what happens next turn. We're getting very close to bomb time. I think it will be 2 turns. I think it's turn 9 when the Avengers will eventually fall on the refineries. But yes, it's that time. Yeah, so yeah, turn 7. Actually, turn 8, I would say, because we're going on to turn 7, and it'll be turn 7 to there and turn 8 down. Yeah. Okay, so again, hope that's been clear enough for you, and I'll see you for turn 7. Thanks for watching.